Have you ever felt like someone was saying one thing, but their body was saying something completely different? Or wonder why sometimes you just have a really easy conversation and it really flows, and other times it's like pulling teeth? It's actually the whole neuroscience of micro expressions and body language. And once you learn to read them, it can really help your relationships. Welcome to my Broken to Brave podcast. I'm Donna Barnes, the love coach. Actions speak louder than words, right? We've always heard that. But in addition to actual actions, it's their behavior and it's their body language and what their body language is saying. Unfortunately, I think the trick of first dates is your body language can really send the wrong message. Sometimes when you really like somebody, it makes you really uncomfortable, and it either makes you like squirm or look away, right? You can't look at somebody because you're just like so attracted to them. It just makes you uncomfortable to look at them. You have to look away, right? Like there's a whole host of ways that body language can send the wrong message. The very simple one of like crossing your arms, right? They say that if you cross your arms, you're closed off. But honestly, I think some people just don't know what to do with their hands, right? If they're standing and they're uncomfortable, sometimes they just fold their arms because it's more comfortable, right? Or if you're cold, it's like a little hug, right? Like makes stuff a little bit warmer and stuff. So there's really no one size fits all. And you really do have to pay attention to somebody's behavior. I mean, behavior is definitely a key to how someone really feels about you. Like, do I feel loved, right? I always say is the number one question to define the quality of your relationship. And feeling loved is mostly about body language and behavior. Sometimes someone's words aren't anywhere near close to what their body language or just their behavior is telling you. Trust but verify, right? Like I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day that, you can give people the benefit of the doubt, but trust really needs to be earned. You cannot trust somebody until they prove to you that they are trustworthy, is a good rule to live by. I've always said I'm not a fan of rules, but certain rules are helpful. The whole miscommunication, especially on a first date. As a matchmaker, a lot of times I got feedback that they didn't think someone liked them, but then meanwhile you talk to the other person and they did like them. The miscommunication comes from the nervousness and the unknowing and the insecurity of wanting someone to like you if you like them. I always say if you're on a first date, your whole purpose should be to put your attention on finding out if you like them and assume that they like you. Right? So you get out of your head and you stop worrying about if they like you and you just put your attention on finding out if you like them. I mean, that's really the best way of a first date. People get nervous and then they either just don't shut up, they just constantly talk, or they really like you, so they want to tell you everything about them so that you like them, which then says to your date that you just aren't interested in finding out anything about them. I think that's a common trap of first dates. It absolutely says that you're just not interested in finding out about your date when the really sad truth is you really liked your date, right? Other ways that happens is where people just get quiet and don't know what to say because they're just trying to evaluate so much what they say that they say nothing. And then the date thinks that they're not interested in them. I'm a big fan of flirting. I think flirting is absolutely the best body language because I've talked about that. There's definitely been people in my life that flirted with me and I hadn't really thought about them at all until I thought that they were flirting with me, right? Like their eye contact lingered a little too long and it just changed the dynamic of the conversation. If you're on a first date, especially, and you like the person, you need to make eye contact. You need to be flirtatious with them. You certainly need to be aware of anything that your body language is saying that you're not interested, because the really sad truth is the natural insecurity reaction when you really do like somebody sends the message that you don't like them. And that's what makes dating so hard, right? First dates are really bad. I had a matchmaking client who once said to me, I'm much better on the second date. If I could only get to the second date, I'm so much better on the first date. And largely because that guy had said to me that he felt like he needed to sell himself on the first date, which I think is a huge mistake. He was one of those guys that talked too much and then the person felt like he wasn't interested. And that guy was actually a handsome guy. Great catch. I used to talk to girls because I was his matchmaker and encourage them to give him a second date. But at the same time, I was trying to help him be better on the first date, because that's the really sad truth. Most second dates are much better than first dates. But if the first date doesn't go well enough to get to the second date, you'll never know that. I'm a big fan of giving somebody an opportunity to have at least a second date. What does it hurt to spend a second interaction with somebody? Because the first date is just there's so much anxiety around it, where a second date, you kind of already know what you're getting into and what you're signing up for, and it makes it a whole lot easier. It really does. I'm a big fan of at least trying 2 dates, if not 3, before you make a decision, because sometimes people will really surprise you too. I've absolutely had that. Somebody that I really didn't give that much thought to, that as I got to know them, was really intriguing and really much different than I thought they were in all areas of my life. Actually, one of my dearest friends, when I first met her, I just, did not think much of her at all. But as I got to know her, because we were working a job together, I love her so much, right? One of my dearest friends. And I said to her at one point, wow, you are so much different than I thought you were. And she said, yeah, everybody says that to me. And I mean, I'm talking about a friendship, but that happens in relationships too. It's back to the giving the person the benefit of the doubt thing. On any kind of date, give that person the benefit of the doubt that they're maybe a little bit scared. And I don't know about you, but I always said I was never the one that went for the obvious guy in the room. The guy that everybody was throwing themselves at and had that arrogance about him was never attractive to me. I was more interested in the more quiet guy that was just kind of watching me from across the room. That's the guy I wanted to go talk to. The guys that were in my face, I was never interested in. It was the ones that were just paying attention, but just kind of hanging back. That's a good body language. What I'm just trying to say is that people unintentionally have their body language say something that they're not meaning it to say when they really like somebody. And vice versa, too. People who are manipulators can be really very intentional in their body language to support what they're saying. That's where the little micro-expressions come into. And I'm not an expert on that, so I'm not going to pretend that I am. But there's all sorts of quick, it's like 1/15th or 1/25th of a second that you're involuntary, your face shows 7 emotions, right? It's like anger or sad or scared, confused. They are micro expressions that if you're really watching somebody, you'll spot. It'll give you a tell of what they're really feeling, because you can't fake that and you can't control that. They say a picture tells 1,000 words. As a matchmaker, I used to say a picture could tell 1,000 wrong words because not everybody photographs well. And it's a little bit the same thing with body language. Sometimes you're just uncomfortable, so your body language sends the wrong message when you're just really trying to get someone to like you or let someone know that you like them. Dating's hard. So if you meet somebody and you enjoy their company but you don't think you're attracted to them, give them 2 or 3 dates, because especially if you're a woman watching this, because women are less visual, right? They just might surprise you, and you might end up being really glad that you did. So leave me your comments. What are your thoughts? Has anybody ever fooled you with their body language or being deceptive to you? Or is dating hard? Do you hate first dates? Are you better on a second date? And I'm here for coaching. If you need help, I'm more than happy to help. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next episode.